This video is going to be going over the trade-ins feature in ThunderPOS for Windows. We're going to show you the settings that you can use that are specifically relevant for trades. We're going to show you how to set the trade values through items, and we're going to show you doing trade-ins at the register. So if we flip over to our VM here, we've got, as you can see, a fairly blank database, so we're going to be just kind of starting from scratch here. We're going to go over to System Administration and then Settings. And then there's a few options that are particularly relevant for trades. Most of them are just under used options. This is where you can set your trade prices, that kind of thing. So here you can select between our two main pricing options for trade-ins, which is either extended pricing or condition discounts. Extended pricing is you can select between cash and credit, and you can select between condition 1 and 2, which are by default labeled as complete and incomplete. So this is the only way that all of the fields in inventory get used. If you do condition discounts, then instead you only use for trade-in values the trade-in value 1, which is, complete and credit if you're using the other method. And you can either select that value is your cash amount and you give more for credit by a percentage, or you can select that value is your credit amount and you give a percentage less for cash. That percentage could be 0 if you give the same for cash or credit. You can then, if you're doing it this way, also use condition codes. These condition codes allow you to take your default percentage and then discount it based on the condition the item is in. This typically is through like a grading system where your grading is mint or excellent or whatever grading scale you use. You're allowed to set that yourself, but you can have up to 5 different ones. So very commonly, like this would be like 10, 20. So this would mean that the grade A just gets the price that it's listed at, and then it's a discount of 10% off of condition B from that price. It's a discount of 20% for condition C, and then you can go on down the line. And then you would do the same for trade-ins. Now the trade-ins would be discounted from the trade value. We're going to set it to extended pricing for now, and then we will also look down here. We've got a couple more options that are particularly relevant for trades. Do not accept trade-ins from a walk-in customer. That basically means you have to add a customer and put in their information before you can accept a trade from them. That's useful if you have to report who has traded things in to Leads Online, which is a feature that's relevant in the system, and anything like that. Under Register Options, there is an option here that is particularly relevant for trades, which is that you can have the system automatically print price labels for trade-ins based off of your default label layout. If you choose to do that, just check that box and it'll print it when it's traded. Not going to show that here. I don't actually have a label printer hooked up, and you wouldn't be able to see it regardless. So those are your main options. Like I said, we're going to just go with the defaults here of condition 1 and 2 being complete and incomplete and using extended pricing. But much of it is very similar. It's just that's going to let us use all of the fields. We can then go into Store and Items. And if we are adding an item, you'll notice we've got a whole column here of used and trade-in values. So we're gonna add the item. We're just gonna add an item just called test here for the purposes of testing it. And we're just not gonna put any in stock. We're not gonna turn on the used cost, or we're not gonna set a used cost. And we'll just set our values here. So we'll say that we're charging $10 for complete, $5 for incomplete. Now again, this is only relevant because we're using the extended pricing. If we were using the percentage based, then the price 2 would not be relevant. This field would be completely unused. And then with trade credit, same deal. Only trade credit 1 gets used if you're not using extended pricing. So we'll say we give $8, which is a very high amount, but this is kind of just to demonstrate, and then we'll say we give $6 cash and $3 cash. And then used max here, what that is a maximum amount that you want to have in stock. And you can set an option in the settings screen to where you won't be able to go over that used max, but by default it will just prompt you. And I'll show you where that setting is here in just a moment. Also relevant, which right now we're just going to leave it at 0 just so you can see the prompt when we trade this. Also relevant to this, although it matters for more than just trades, is under your cost options. You can have the average costing for used prices on. Your automatic pricing feature can allow you to automatically calculate the trade values from your used price, and also can allow you to automatically calculate your used price from the new price. And then again under register options here, it's got the do not allow override for used max. So that's where you would check that if you did not want to allow the cashier to accept the item anyway, but we do. So I'm just going to leave that off. So doing a trade at the register is super easy. Depending on the register design, it may look a little different, but whatever design you're doing, you just say trade in, and then you either scan or search for the item. And you can set the condition, and you can set whether it's cash or credit, but all of this can be set after the fact. So we'll just scan it, and here's our prompt. So it warns us that accepting this trade-in would put us over the used maximum for this item, and then it'll have the details, which the details here are we didn't have any in stock, and this can put some in stock. So we'll say we do want to accept it. Once it's on the invoice, if we want to change it to cash, we can just hit all trade-ins cash, and you'll see it changes it from 8 to 6. If we need to change it from complete to incomplete, or we needed to make it not a trade-in, like we just did not mean to have the trade-in box checked, you could just remove it and re-add it to the invoice, but you can also just hit change more here. And here you can change all of it. You can say, it's for this particular line's for credit. We want incomplete. We don't want it to be a trade at all. So you can check or uncheck that. And we'll just hit OK here. So you can see we've now marked it as incomplete, and the price has dropped to 3. We could then, change it back to for credit, and it's still incomplete, so it's now 4. So we'll actually just say, we'll just give them this as cash by hitting all trade-ins cash here, and then completing it. And if we print it, and then complete it, and then we go to our items screen here now, you can see that we now have the one in stock that we just traded in, and we have a used cost of $3 because of our average costing. So this is the only one we have in. It costs us $3, so the average cost comes 3. If we were to trade one in now for credit, complete, then it would, take the average of $3 and $8, so you'd end up at $5.50. So then we are going to go take just one more quick look here at our reports. And we can see under reports, and then under transactions, we have the traded items report, and we can just get a list of our traded items. Now, one other thing that's kind of useful to know about is that even if you don't have on the option, as we do not, for printing labels at the end of the trade-in, you can go to the transactions screen, and one of the options that you have in this screen under view details is that you can print labels for trades for a specific transaction. So even if you don't want it to have it do that all the time, it might be that with a particular transaction you get a lot of items, or just you want to go back and print it because your printer was off for something when you initially printed it and you had to clear the queue. So you can do that by just coming here, hitting print labels for trades. It's going to print out your labels for every single one of the trades on this invoice, which in this case is just the one, but that's what it'll do. So if we were to have it as the non-extended pricing, just to kind of show what that looks like, Under used options, we just change over to condition discounts, and we do conditions A to E, and we'll just set up some discounts. So we'll give, we'll just do a fairly straightforward 10 to 40% off, and then 20, 40, not 540, 60 and 80, and then save it. And we'll say trade value is for credit and 10% less for cash. So at this point, because we've set it this way, the only trade value that matters is the $8 right here. And then that rest of that's going to be calculated off that. So the trade for cash, if we gave 10% less off 80, if it's condition A, should be $7.20. So you can see our conditions have now changed. So we'll say trade for cash, and we get the prompt, and we'll proceed. You can see it's $7.20 because of that 10% discount for the cash. That is kind of the basics of doing trades in the system. If you have any questions about the feature, please feel free to contact support. There are obviously many other features in the system that can interact with trades. Vendor databases may be able to give you that initial trade-in value, particularly the BRE and VGPC databases for video games have suggested trade values. You may also be able to get trade values off of like the automatic pricing. There is a promotion type if you're doing promotions for giving bonuses on trades as well, so check out the promotions video for that. But this is kind of the basic essence of the trade-in feature. Thank you for watching, and let us know if you have any questions.